Hey all, today I met Eamon and Michelle and they're living in their, it's actually used to be school bus.
Yeah, an old school bus.
Yeah, so it's Mercedes Vario.
It's just before the Vario, so the T2 they're called,
Okay.
or 709D.
So yeah, they live in the Mercedes T2 X school bus and there is a
Yeah.
lot of going on right now.
Yeah, such a
Yeah.
busy road.
And today they're gonna give us a tour and share a bit more. How is it to live in the van? Let's have a look.
Yeah, so this is it. This is our, as Ruben was just saying, our school bus. It's from 1996, so just coming up 30 years old in the next couple of years. And it was a working school bus until we bought it. The day we bought it, it was being used as a school bus, and we took it home,
Oh,
stripped everything out,
Yeah.
and converted ourselves then over about 8 months last year.
It was a lot of seats to take out.
Yeah, and we've been travelling in it ever since. So this is our home.
so it was in Ireland. In
In Ireland. So up beside where I live. And yeah, this is it. We can walk you around it now and show you
Sure.
a few of the outside features if that works. Along the front, nothing too interesting up here apart from Michelle's design. We went for it would have been yellow actually originally, and then it was white when we bought it. So
Yeah.
we went for a sort of retro look to keep with the age thing.
We just roller painted the whole thing.
Yeah, hand painted it. It was too expensive to spray, so we just
Yeah.
hand painted it. Us and Michelle's mum and dad, and it worked out. I think it looks quite nice. Along here, then we put on an underslung gas tank. So we installed this ourselves. It's 100 litres of gas, and we were actually amazed at how long this has lasted because we filled it up before we left, and then we filled it up there after about 4 months. Now it only needed, maybe it was only about half empty, and that's been us using it every day for hot water and for our full gas oven. So it's been brilliant.
Yeah, it lasts.
Yeah, really efficient, and that was only €30 to top it up after 4 months, which has been incredible. And we have all the adapters for traveling around Europe, so that's been a great job. Here we have a little outdoor shower. So this just opens up when a shower pulls out. You'll see some evidence of where we stick on the sucker. And that's class for beach days and stuff. So if we're ever down by the beach,
Yeah, rinsing off the sand.
we tend to use that outdoor shower.
And it's warm.
And it's warm, yeah, it all works off our hot water system, so it's instant hot water.
So how do you warm up the water? You have diesel tanks.
So,
This here, actually, we've two different options. Michelle, if you want to talk about that one, sure.
so there's a calorifier inside the bus which works from the coolant pipes of the bus and heats the water as we drive. And then the iMass is the instant water heater. So that works and gives us instant water.
Yeah, it
when we're
runs off
parked
the
up.
gas, and we'd probably use this about 90% of the time when we're parked up. We nearly always use the gas. The other one, as Michelle said, only works after you've been out to drive. So, for example, we drove to Lagos today, and we'll probably use the hot water from that for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And then if we stay parked, we'll switch over to the gas.
And how big is the boiler?
The calorifier is 22 litres.
Okay.
So it's 22 litres of piping hot water, which you then mix down. So you probably get about, 35 to 40 litres of hot
Right.
water.
So
or
2
warm
showers.
Water.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get 2 showers, wash the dishes.
Wash the dishes and
This here then has got no boiler on it. It just heats it as the water passes through. So you just, as much hot water as you need, really.
But you installed yourself all that from engine, or it was already pre-installed?
We were really lucky. So the calorifier, they're quite common in boats and things, and I've seen more people start to use them in bus builds, but they're quite tricky because you have to take your coolant pipes, tee them off from your engine. Because this was an old school bus, up near the front and down near the back, there were actually
big
air
fans,
heaters
yeah.
that the coolant ran through, and they just blew out warm air for the passengers. So whenever we were clearing out all the seats, they were just big metal boxes, and we were like, well, we'll take these out as well. But it meant that coming along the side of the bus, we had 2 coolant pipes, feed and a return. So I just chopped them and just plugged it straight into the calorifier, so we had to do no work at all.
Amazing.
It was kind of, it was a real
really good,
no-brainer to add.
yeah.
It was sort of last minute we decided on it because we already had our hot water system decided.
Yeah.
But we
It
went
felt
for
kind
that.
of too good to be true,
And it's
like it
free
was-
hot water every time you drive, and it actually would give us better hot water than the iMass because it's just
Yeah, it comes out
perfect. It
piping
doesn't
hot.
need heated up or anything. It's just at a real hot temperature
Yeah.
straight away. So as soon as you open the tap, you've real good hot water
Yeah,
coming
it's
out.
like 90 degrees or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It is 90 degrees, so it's a real good
Free
job.
hot water.
And also, actually, it's quite a good additional part to your cooling system, I think, for when you're driving in the warm weather.
Yeah.
This is our toilet empty, so we've just a little chemical toilet that we installed. So let's just reuse that. I had to
cassette.
empty it earlier. Some people always say that they absolutely hate the emptying the bus. Yeah,
It's not a fun job, but
no,
it's
I wouldn't
not
say.
the
Sorry, I'm not going to
worst.
say I enjoy it, but I thought it was going to be worse from watching all these videos. People saying like it's awful.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from having grown up on a farm and just working with animals and
Sheep poo.
animal excrement all the time, that I'm not as worried about that
Precious.
sort of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, we do it. You can sort of do a game of it too. You just rock, paper, scissors every time you need to empty the toilet. I'm not going to say it makes it fun.
No, but there is this split toilet. It's,
Yeah,
the
the
compost.
it's still a bit gross to clean, but
Yeah.
it's less smell, especially in summer when it's hot summer day.
Yeah, we
suppose
were
we
really
haven't-
tempted by
yeah.
that, but
We haven't had the hot water yet, but I've
Hot
read
summer.
with the Thetfords actually now that people are starting to design the chemical toilets that you can just take the unit out and upgrade them to that split composting
yeah, so
toilet.
we might do it eventually.
Might do that at some stage,
Yeah.
because actually the biggest appeal for me in that is the fact that you can probably dispose of your like toilet waste in more places. Whereas
Yeah.
now I'd find that's probably our like biggest thing that ties us to coming back to the grid, is that that'll fill up and that you can make it last
Yeah.
for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But once it's
10
full,
days
it's full. So that would bring us back in to fill up more
Yeah,
than
that'd be
anything
the
else,
first
really.
thing that
So
would-
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Default.
one. So basically, because the split unit, the liquids you can get rid every day,
Yeah.
anywhere. And the second one, in very hot summer days, there is no way, even with ventilation, to keep it.
The smell down.
Right. Yeah. We
Yeah.
haven't.
So yeah, we haven't reached
met
those
that
temperatures
yet.
yet.
So
And
we'll see.
split unit, it's like you have a fan inside and it makes solids dry, and there is no smell at all.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. Like people did say, we read a lot that the composting toilet was better, but it's really hard to believe it until
Yeah.
you've experienced one. But
Yeah, whenever we were buying this,
Yeah.
though, there was a caravan near us, and we got the whole bathroom
got it
from
all.
it for like nothing. That's just a bit of ventilation for the bathroom. Actually, that's just a little air vent. And then here, kind of, we sort of did try to build the bus as much for
Yeah.
backup things, and this was installed, and we have not once used this on our
No.
trip. But all it is it's a second water fill point. But it actually skips past our tanks. It goes straight into our pipes on the other side of the pump. So if we were somewhere that there was a pressure, like any main system you could plug in, say
like
our
have
water,
a shower while you're there.
yeah, you
or-
could just have a shower and it wouldn't be going through your tanks or whatever. But also, say our water pump broke, we could just plug in and our system would run off the power of the mains rather than our water pump.
It's a
So,
backup, but we haven't needed it.
yeah, thankfully we haven't needed
Yeah.
it. This was our fire exit, and still is our emergency exit from inside. So there's not much to show here, but it's a bit of access into our boot.
It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, the bed up there, but it's a bit rough. We never really use this door. But
This is
you
where the
access
bike
from
is.
both.
Yeah.
From both
Yeah.
sides. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just
Sometimes-
kind of kept the door because
if we're taking the
Easier.
ramps out or something, you tend to use this door
Yeah,
rather
it's
than the
great.
boot. But yeah, it's an emergency exit.
Yeah.
And yeah, we installed little side lights all up the side and stuff. We just sort of spiced it up, and also for a bit of visibility if people see us. Michelle, do you want to do the next bit?
open the boot. So the original bus boot was like just a small little luggage compartment. We knew we wanted to bring our motorbike with us, and we were trying to decide will we just bring it and hook it on a trailer or hook it on the back somewhere. And I just felt that if we did that, we'd always be worried every time we left the bus that it would be stolen. So we made the decision quite early on that we were going to put it internally, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
So it meant we had to cut out all of this. The body of the bus is aluminium. So cut out all of this, get it all welded, get a new door on, put it in. But it has meant then we have like a great garage for the bike.
Nice.
So this
Yeah.
slides out and we put out the ramp and we can just pull the bike
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, that's a heavy duty
Um,
runners. That ramp just slides all the way out, and then we have a little ramp and it just rolls down.
Okay.
So it's actually very easy to unload. You can do it by yourself. And then you can just see we've trashed
Everything
everything
else
else
thrown
alongside
in.
it. Barbecue and jerry cans, a few different bits. And then we've our bike helmets, our own bike helmets, and our leathers in there as well
Yeah.
from when we head off. But
But the bike has been brilliant.
we're just glad to have that locked up in and safe, and for
Yeah.
security and stuff, particularly if we do leave the bus parked up for
Yeah.
a long time when we go
Yeah.
away. And that's
It
handy.
literally, it just fits. Like when we cut this door, like we don't have much room left.
Yeah.
And like that's the bike. Like you have to
Yeah.
kind of twist the handlebars a little bit and it just fits in. So
Yeah,
it
it's
was
a bit
sort of
luck getting
lucky.
that in.
Well, worst case would be take tire off front.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That was actually
We
fun.
take the wing mirrors. Yeah, the wing
Yeah, we
mirrors.
take them off
We
anyway.
roll them off
Yeah.
just to get that extra bit of height, or less height below the bed. At the back, then we've loads of tail lights and stuff we had to put on just because we took the original ones off when we were cutting the new boot. We've ventilation for the bedroom, just a bit of airflow because we've a couple of roof fans above just to create a bit of airflow when you're sleeping in the warm weather. We have a reversing camera up there for when we're reversing, and we have a couple of blink security lights as well, and security cameras, sorry. So those blink security cameras, we can look off our phone there, connect into the Wi-Fi system we have in the bus. So when we're away from the bus, we can just see what's going on, and it gives you that bit of peace of mind that she's all safe whenever we're away from it.
So that's why I have stickers everywhere.
Yeah, the stickers.
Yeah.
We actually
they are actually real. We do have cameras.
No, I think we bought the stickers first, and we were like, people say put on stickers. So I was like, CCTV. This is bus is a tracker.
Even though I think we should get a guard dog one, even though we don't have a dog. I think that would be the biggest deterrent.
But I stuck all those on, and then we were chatting, we were building it. I said, well, why don't we put some of these things on it out of all the stickers? So the stickers came first, and then we're like, well, we'll put on the cameras just to have them because it would be handy.
Scare people away.
And you have a lot of things going on the roof.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
what's the solar setup?
We've quite a big roof, and it is completely packed with solar. So we have 415 watts of 415 watt panels, which is 1660 watts, which is fairly mega for solar. And if you get this weather in Europe, it charges our battery bank within half a day, and it just means that we're off grid all the time with our
how big
electrics.
is your battery?
We have 1,380 watts, or 80 amp hours, 1,380 amp hours of lead acid. Now they can only be used to about 50%, so that gives us, about 690 amp hours of usable battery.
12 volt.
24 volt.
24 volt.
24 volt, yeah.
So
I'd say you're right, 24 volt, we'd half it again, so it's like 345 amp hours of 24 volt battery.
Yeah, so it's around 10 kilowatts.
Yeah,
usage.
Would be, and that's supported us all winter actually.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we haven't really had to hook up or anything. Every now and then we do so we actually put on a hookup again when I said we were trying to build a van for all eventualities. We're from Ireland where it's never like this.
No.
Like this would be
it's hard to get any solar even in the summer,
So we do have that just in case we're ever anywhere that we don't have sunshine, that we can just plug into campsites or whatever and charge the batteries up. And we have the whole inverter system inside for charging our batteries.
Yeah.
It's quite useful every now and then as well, just to give them a proper charge and keep them in good condition.
And I guess you have DC as well from the engine.
Yes, yeah, we have that as well. So the engine batteries are actually in here, or the bus batteries are in there in the big drawer. So there's two 12 volts and hooked up into 24 volt, and that powers our bus, which is why we went for the 24 volt build. So most of our appliances inside are 24 volt, but I'll show you a bit about that in a minute.
And you're safe on cables.
Yeah, exactly. It's half the price for cables.
And MPPT.
We've lots of cables. Yeah, everything's cheaper.
Yeah.
We read about that at the time, and I was like, let's definitely do it. So in there's the batteries, and in here's like the spare wheel and a couple of other things. We have jack and stuff like that there. Our water fill point's back here as well, so that's for filling up our tank.
Yeah.
And then we actually changed our exhaust. Our exhaust from the bus used to go out the other side, but whenever we stripped the whole thing back and could see the chassis, that was the only place big enough for the gas tank that we showed at the other side. So we cut the exhaust and actually put it out this way, which works better for Europe because where we're from, you drive on the other side of the road, so that would actually go out towards the pavement, which they wouldn't like as much.
Yeah.
But in Europe, it goes towards the road, so
That's
it works better for a European bus. But we also have our diesel heater in there, so our diesel heater exhaust comes out there as well. It's quite handy to have all the fumes coming out the one spot.
How big diesel heater do you have?
Yeah, we've Vivo or Fever. They're the Chinese diesel heaters.
8 kilowatts.
It's that 8 kilowatt. Some people argue that there's no such thing as an 8, but it's the bigger size of the two models. Thankfully, we don't ever really use it at the moment.
We've had it on the odd evening or morning.
Yeah, a cold morning up in the mountains, and I love heating. And we'll show you a bit about our electrics now in the bus, but everything, like our heating, our aircon, our lights, we all have running off Alexa. So you're lying in bed in the morning and you can just say, Alexa, turn on the heating. Or you can set it on your phone to like thermostats and stuff.
Yeah. Or if we've been away for the day and we're coming back to the bus, you can like get the heater on and have it
turn it
the
on.
bus warmed up before we're back.
It all works through an app as well, so we can use our phones to turn off stuff and turn on stuff when we're away, which is quite handy.
And how often do you use awning?
Oh, never.
Yeah. No, we used it once the day after we installed it to see if it worked.
Yes, yeah. We had a party and it was really cool, you know, the lights out. But with the camping rules around Europe, we just never really pull out the awning and set up
Yeah.
the way we kind of thought we would. Now, maybe in the summer when we need a bit more shade,
Yeah, if
I
we were
think we'll use
somewhere
it then.
that's really warm.
Yeah, ours is also the more old style awning, so it's not like really easy to just,
Yeah.
it takes both of us to try and get up and pull it out. So it's a big setup, but
No.
it's doable, it's good.
Again, we got a great deal on that one actually. We bought
Yeah.
it from some fella second hand, and he almost gave it to us. And like you just had to then clip it on with a bit of awning reel, so it didn't really cost us anything because we were looking at the wind out ones from Fiamma and they were something like
Yeah, out of our
£600-700
budget.
So
Yeah.
we got that one there. As I say, yeah, we don't use it at the moment, but
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
if it's really
I'm glad
warm,
we have it. I'm glad we have it.
it's always an option. Or if we
Yeah.
ever have people out that want to stay, like they could camp below it maybe if we're somewhere that had nicer weather. But as Michelle said, around here you never really use it because
No, you just don't do that kind of setup.
yeah, they don't really like that. But with our windows, so when we bought the school bus, we purposely bought a school bus because we love having so much light and we love all the windows. The big downside of windows is the amount of heat that can get in.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't really been faced with that because we've been travelling since October now till March. So it's been the quieter, obviously, or the cooler winter weather. We haven't been too bothered, but we did actually think with the awning, like potentially during the summer, the bus might become very, very warm.
Yeah, we'll just want to
So
sit
we
out.
might want to
and-
sit outside more, and potentially even then you wouldn't want to be directly in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
We do have air conditioning, as I mentioned, in the bus, so we'll have to test all that out. We're sort of looking forward
Yeah,
to
we
next
haven't
summer
had
to
a
see how
summer
we
yet,
survive.
so- Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it so far. And then there's another vent here, just again on the idea of airflow, and that circulates in just to the living space here that you can get a little bit of.
fan.
There's a wee fan in there that just draws in air for whenever we're parked up and you're sitting. We'll go inside, will we?
outside?
Yeah, let's go look
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah. Go on
And
in.
this is a key lock.
Yeah, that's the
Then you have
keypad.
extra key if you lose yours.
Well, in behind that is actually the button for
Just
the
a
door
code.
because
Oh,
it's
okay.
Yeah.
the old school bus door.
There are no actually keys inside.
No, it's just a
oh,
button.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have it, anyone could just come and press the button. So that was
Let me, I'll
just
show,
a
I'll show
safety.
what we have. They have the door locks off the app as well, or closes off the app, I
Yeah.
should say. But because it was a school bus, it was just a passenger bus. Anyone, whenever the bus came, would just press that and open it up. And we were kind of like, that is useful for us, but
Yeah, but
also
not ideal.
we don't want just randomers to come up and get into the bus. So let me see.
top secret. So it's just the
Well,
button.
There's just the
and
button
then-
in there. So I just bought a little key lock and used a hole saw to cut a hole in the back and screwed it around it, and then you press that and it opens it up. But thankfully we can close it. Now we can disable the button and stuff if we're leaving the bus. That someone can't just come and pull this off and open our door. We can turn off the
We have
electrics.
locks.
Don't come and steal our
Yeah,
buses.
please. Please don't break in. Welcome inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is our front cab. We have all like overhead storage up here. Eamon put in a really good sound system, so we've got good tunes as we're driving. Like DJ is my main job because it was an extra license, so I actually can't drive the bus. It's just Eamon who does the driving.
Yeah, it's the 7.5 ton size, so you
Yeah.
had to do the extra C1 license.
Yeah.
So I did that, and Michelle decided that she'd just.
I got my
Driving the
motorbike
passenger.
license instead. That was more fun.
Yeah.
We're also on the wrong side of the road for Europe. Like we're right-hand drive on the right-hand side of the road. So I didn't really fancy trying out a 7.5 ton vehicle on the wrong side of the road for the first time. So we leave the driving to Eamon.
Yeah.
It's actually usually like one day, at least for me, when I got to UK, my brain hurts.
Yeah.
Do you know what
You've
I've
been
actually
absolutely
found? We
fine,
drove into
really.
France, and as soon as I was there, I was like, "This is great." And then we went back home for Christmas, and like, so we're on the natural side of, as in
Yeah.
the steering wheel is on the other side of the road, and I was so
You're
confused.
throwing
I
up
was like,
then.
I feel dangerous here.
Yeah.
I actually think the right-hand side of the road for driving feels a bit more natural than the left.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one of my jobs.
Yeah.
Like just being like right-hand side, right-hand side.
And when you overtake someone, then you can have a look, right?
Yeah.
We
Well-
don't do too much overtaking. Not as much of an issue for us.
Actually, I don't have. Well, I can sort of turn it on here, but up here, then that's just a reversing camera. But I've just wired it into the lights, so whenever we have our lights on, it's on all the time. I just found
Yeah.
it was handier than only coming on from when it's reversing. If like you can have it on when you're driving, particularly for motorways and stuff, you can always see behind you
See.
on the lanes and all. It gives you that bit
Yeah,
of
because
extra
you've
vision.
got quite a big blind side. Like thankfully
Yeah.
the windows are there, but
That's another thing about all the windows
Yeah.
is your vision is very good. And then this here's our truck sat nav. We tend to use our phone as well, probably more.
Mhm.
But that truck sat nav I wired into a switch over here. So if I press that switch, It was one of these ones.
Something
Is
clicked
it
on there.
confusing track set because it brings you on the track road, and there are many places where trucks are not allowed, but motorhomes are allowed?
Yeah,
Mm,
I think this is more set for weight actually, which is the 7.5 ton. But I do find that gives us like sometimes we know we're half an hour away, and I'll put it into that, and it'll say 6 hours to get there. Like there's
yeah.
something wrong.
We
So
don't fully rely on it.
No, because there are cities and places where lorries are forbidden.
Yeah,
yeah,
And
Yeah.
and this follows the rules because it's a track set.
yeah.
yeah. And a lot of the time it's more about like being double axle rather than
But
weight and stuff. But
I'd probably need to turn on the keys. I've a switch here on the beside me, and a little camera over there at the far side of the bus. So say Michelle wasn't in the bus with me and I was driving.
And you were speeding.
Yeah. But no, I could turn that on and it shows me up that side. I don't know how much you'd want to trust that solely, but it's a
Yeah.
little bit of extra. But as Michelle said, overtaking isn't ever really something we're too
No.
concerned about in this. It's holding people up, or I don't know if they're following us. But
yeah,
tends to be a
If
queue
we're
of
on
traffic
a
going that
completely
way.
flat road, we might be okay. But slight incline is not our friend.
So yeah, that's everything around the front really. This is our engine in here, which is quite handy for any maintenance we need to do.
Yeah.
We're on the road, we need to change fuel filters or anything, which we've done. You can just access it all from inside. And then up there, actually, we had a bit of extra storage. We weren't sure what to do at the very end. I think we put that in the day before we left, but
Yeah.
that's just a little box full of our
Spilled out.
shoes.
Yeah.
Um,
You installed the chair as well, so that was a new seat just for a comfortable like bus seat.
The chair that was in the bus actually didn't even have a seatbelt. Legally, it
So
didn't need one
old.
because of its age,
Yeah.
but I kind of thought I'd want something a bit comfier, so we got this off an old Chrysler or something and stuck it in, and it's got the seatbelt and the armrest and stuff, and I definitely.
And how much did you pay for this van?
So the van was £3,000, which is about, I don't know, with the
Three and a
conversion
half.
rate, €3,500. And that was it, fully tested. It was off a fella locally. He was the man that owned the school bus company.
Yeah. And he's been brilliant. We nearly
Yeah.
got well, he's not a mechanic, but he knows all the tricks of the trade. So he used to do all the work on it himself. He had a pit in his place and he used to do all the maintenance. So anytime we broke down once or had a fuel issue once in Italy on the side of the road and Eamon rang him at home, he answered, talked us through everything. He's been amazing.
Yeah, him and I have been on the phone loads. Once we bought this, he talked me through everything.
Yeah.
There was loads of service history with it, which was kind of what was attractive. And we actually were going to buy, you mentioned a Vario earlier, and we were going to buy a Vario with him. And then I told him what we wanted, and he said, look, I've that Vario there for sale for maybe, it was like £6,000.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I've this bus for sale for half the price, and the reason is because people don't really want them as much because they're not as fast
There's
as
no
the
turbo
newer ones.
or anything like that.
Doesn't have a turbo, doesn't have the air suspension. So some of those comforts of driving, he said, those aren't there. But for you, it's perfect because there's no air suspension to brake, there's no turbo to brake. He just said if he had to drive one of his buses to the end of the world and back the next morning, he said he'd have taken this one because they're just so reliable.
They call it the million-mile engine.
Yeah,
don't they?
we're 70 kilometres off hitting 500,000 kilometres. We're gonna do that soon. That's it only a baby engine wise. So yeah, we bought it off him then,
Goodbye.
and he's been so good for telling us and keeping it right. So thankfully we're about probably 6,500 kilometres into our trip, and we haven't had any major issues.
No.
And I'm not really too concerned, touch wood somewhere, that there's going to be one because it just is so rugged and reliable.
And what is the consumption?
It's about 19 miles per gallon, I think. So I'm not too sure on the litre conversion of
And we
that.
had to look up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to
12
look it up.
liters
Yeah.
per 100 kilometers.
Is that what it is? So yeah, it's not too bad.
And you were on the weight, on the scales after you built it out?
Yes.
So how heavy is it?
So it was 5.7 tons.
Oh.
So we had plenty of room to play with. Now at that stage, you weren't in it, and I don't mean that in
An extra ton.
but we maybe
The
also
bike?
didn't. The bike was in it, but we didn't. Now it's 100 kilograms, so I don't think it was too bad. But there were a couple of other things.
The water
I'd
might not
say-
have been full.
I'd say we're probably sitting about the gas wasn't full and maybe the fuel wasn't
It's
full.
still
Yeah.
plenty of.
No, I'd
we
say
have
we're maybe
wiggle
about
room.
5.9, so we've an extra ton and a bit if we want it.
Yeah.
But fuel consumption wise and I don't think we need that space,
You
thankfully.
could
but
put smart in the garage.
yeah. So no, thankfully we're well under with that. But that's everything sort of from here up,
So.
as far as I'm aware. We have
Yeah.
another little security camera there, and that's that's everything we have in the bus.
And then you have a home cinema.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
funky thing above our heads
Yeah.
is the projector. Will
So-
I show you now?
Yeah, alright, go on.
Oh, it's
Well, I
electric.
do. Well, it
fancy.
does Alexa. Alexa
Yeah,
opens
you can
it as
actually
well.
you can say, Alexa, open the projector screen.
Is she going to
She's
do
not
it?
gonna play,
She's not going to
hearing me
behave. She did hear you.
Huh?
I'll do it now.
there. You
I should have done it.
You just press the button.
Sorry, I wasn't on the ball there.
It's anything that's on a remote, we have wired into our Alexa. So our lights are all on remotes, our heating, our AC, and different things. So once you have them on remotes,
Bye.
you can. Thanks for watching.
Looney Tunes.
You,
But yeah,
you could
this
keep
goes,
talking.
this goes all the way down to here.
Yeah.
And then the projector is actually mobile. So
Yeah.
we screw it on there. We also have a screen in the bedroom and we can screw the projector on there.
Yeah.
Or we've got an outdoor screen that we, like a big sheet that we just hang up and we can use the projector outside as well, which we've done on beaches in Sardinia and
Yeah,
it
was one of our little sort of splurges before we went, because we were trying to do it all as much as we could on a budget. So everything was either second hand or what was the best way we could make something affordable. And then we like watching movies and stuff, and
Yeah.
we've had smaller builds before, and we had little cheap projectors and all of them that maybe cost us like 30 quid off eBay. And I saw that one and saw that it was rated as being, it's a little nebula capsule they're called.
yeah.
But it's portable, so it charges, you can take it anywhere, you can screw it on everywhere.
We've used it loads.
It's been a brilliant asset actually. It's nice we're usually outside during the day, but we actually found we were surprised when we went away. Anytime we've been in a van trip,
It's usually in the summer and you got the long evenings, but when we came to Europe in October,
yeah,
it was dark at like 5 o'clock.
it was like 26 degrees, and we're like, oh class, this is like a summer holiday. And then 5 o'clock came and it was just pitch black. Well, what do we do for these?
And we were sick of talking to each other.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of good series and TV and a few good movies, but the projector's been
really good.
brilliant for that. And also, this seat here, well, these two seats, all four seats, none of these are original for the bus.
Yeah.
These are actually out of the old ambulances, those Mercedes yellow and green ambulances that you'd see around the UK. So we bought all these because they swivel and fold up, so these two can turn
So
around
they
to
are
face the
like-
front.
Fold down, swivel around. They've all got their seat belts on them. So this is my seat when we drive. We turn it around, or if we have extra people for movie nights, it's going to squeak.
Oh, I've done that. That just spins around,
Yeah.
locks into place, and then Michelle can face forward.
Okay.
But the same with that one there, which means if there are a couple of it, because obviously it's just the two of us usually, but if we ever have any guests or family or something, we can
Got a few
have all
movie nights.
4 people facing the cinema, and as Michelle said, they recline and everything. So
Yeah.
it's a first class experience.
This is also our fold out bed if we have visitors.
Okay.
So the table moves out of the way and the 4 of these fold down flat, and then we've got a blow up mattress that we put here. So we've actually had loads of visitors come and stay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cozy, but it's nice to be able to have them.
And kitchen.
Kitchen.
The kitchen, yeah.
I know about this. So all just storage here. We've got our bins, lots of overhead storage for plates, like lunch boxes, everything like that. Then the oven. So we've got 4 gas rings on the top. And then, so they all just run off the gas.
And it's like from the house.
Yeah, it's a
not
household
camper.
one.
Yeah.
No, it was
Yeah.
just a household one. You converted it to LPG.
Yeah, the little jets in it, you get a little system, or
It's just the-
you change the little jets over so that it runs. They're all just a bit smaller. The little
Yeah.
pin holes in them
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of I don't know if it's the force or the fact that it's more liquid. I'm not too sure about gas, but whatever way it was, you had to change them over. The flames were massive.
But it meant it was really affordable.
Yeah, it was out of Argos for maybe what was that,
60 quid or something.
£60 or
That's
something,
really
and a full
cheap.
gas cooker, and it's
Yeah,
been great.
yeah.
Now, I mentioned we installed the gas and the plumbing and all ourselves, but we did have a gas engineer come out
And sign it off.
check over everything
Yeah.
and check all the joints and sign it off, because it's all right, like with certain things, particularly your plumbing, fine, you do it wrong, you just have leaks, but gas, we
You
kind
don't
of
want a slow gas leak.
wanted to be
No.
sure about,
we
so
made sure
so-
that was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
made sure that was right. Michelle mentioned about storage and stuff around here.
Oh yeah, the
I don't
calorifiers
know if
in
we
there.
can show that in there, but that's I mentioned earlier our water system. So that's our calorifier, just our big water tank, and the coolant pipes come in there. So that's
what it looks like.
that's everything that's in there. And actually, this is our home gym in behind this one. These just pop off because
We're not carpenters.
it was a bit easier. In there we've just a couple of sets of weights and things actually that we took with us. Another one you asked earlier, how often do you use the awning? Don't ask us how often we use the weights. We had this idea
just for show.
living in a bus and looking after ourselves.
They've been used.
A couple of times, probably should use them more, but
It has been bad weather, so
exactly.
That's
we couldn't possibly.
But actually, they're very useful. They're just a couple of adjustable ones, so it means we can exercise and keep ourselves busy whenever we're on the road.
It's good.
All the other drawers are actual drawers. They're
just fake, but the rest are kitchen storage.
Again, we were under a bit of time pressure before we left, so there were some things at the very end were like, let's stick magnets in that, and then at some stage we'll upgrade them.
Yeah.
And here we are, 5 months later.
And then the double oven, so grill at the top and then oven on the bottom, which is great. Then this is our Alpicool fridge, so it's 80 litres.
85 fridge freezer.
Got the little freeze box on the top, which is great.
It's been great actually having a full size, like a counter size fridge. It's been such a game changer for us.
Yeah.
Having that, it's been brilliant. Just being able to have.
Yeah, we just do a big weekly shop and then we
lots
cook
of food and not worrying too much. It keeps us quite self sufficient. And having a freezer as well. We've never had a freezer in any of our other builds before, and this one.
We like ice cream, so.
Yeah, it's filled with ice lollies. Nothing else, just ice lollies and a bit of frozen fruit. But it's a great job.
In the vans, you didn't have freezer.
Yes.
In our
Just
in our
make
little
sure.
van. Yeah. We never really thought. And then Eamon installed some 3-point plugs. So these have been really good because it means we can use our coffee bean grinder for grinding our own beans, our smoothie maker.
Yeah,
all
all the little sort of kitchen appliances.
Yeah,
there are so many things now that have been made camper van friendly, but like smoothie makers and coffee grinders and stuff, you're either manual sitting grinding your beans.
More expensive as well.
Yeah, so the 3 pin's been handy. Our electric build, we have 24 volts our main system, which runs most of our appliances, lights, what else? Nearly all our charging points and pretty much everything you see is 24 volt. We've the 240 those. We've the inverter to bring it up to 240 for charging phones. Michelle says a couple of appliances like the projector screen. All these things you buy, they're household items, so we just adapt it to run off the system that we've put in here.
And how big inverter do you have?
It is a 5 kilowatt inverter. Yeah, it's a big size.
5 kilowatt nominal.
Pardon?
5 kilowatt nominal, and the peak is even more, or 5 kilowatt peak.
I would say it's probably nominal because it's the Victron, so they tend to they can go. It's good. We got a unit off whenever we were buying all our solar panels. I bought them off an old electrician, and he just gave me this old unit he had, and we used it and we put it in and built the system around it. And then halfway through, sort of found out it just wasn't really cutting it. It wasn't doing enough for us, so we swapped out for the Victron. That was a bit of a sickener cost-wise, having to swap that out before we left, but it's been brilliant because you can control it off your phone, and it's a real reliable unit, and it uses less electricity actually when it's running. And then we also have a couple of drop downs, so some stuff like the fridge you could buy in 24 volt, but the little diesel heater, some of the toilet things, those fans actually I couldn't get them in 24 volt anywhere, so they're all 12 volt, and we just have a little DC drop down. And actually some of the little fairy lights and some of the cameras are 5 volts, so we have 5 volt drop down as well. So we have a couple of tiers of system, but our main unit is 24 volt.
Yeah.
And it's so far everything's been working and held up for us, thankfully.
And the fan works as a kitchen hood as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like our extractor
fan.
That's
why we put it there. Ideally it would be there.
but because of everything on the roof.
Because of all the solar panels.
Beams and stuff.
It was as close as we could get it, or the sort of room.
But it works.
Yeah, it works well. It sucks things out whenever you have, particularly if you leave the door open, or we have a couple of little things there that you kind of send the airflow in that direction.
Then our sink, we've just got this tap with hot and cold water. You'll hear the water pump going when that's on. And then on this side is our drinking water. So this has a filter on it. So that's for our drinking water.
Yeah, we have a few filters in the system. Like we filter it as you fill it up. There's a filter before the water pump, but also then on the tap we put an extra pipe coming up through, and that's why we bought that tap specifically, because it's just got the drinking water feed. Whether it would do us any harm or not having it, but we just kind of thought it'd be better to be safe, particularly when you're not sure of the country and the waters and stuff. We've as much as we can to filter it. So that's that tap, and
the rest around here then is mainly just full of food. So we did this big larder, which fits like 90% of our food, I'd say.
Oh, nice.
Which is really good.
Yeah, we try to get in as much storage as possible. That sink as well, Michelle has.
Oh yeah, it comes with all these little parts. So there's like a chopping board on the top, and you can wash your vegetables. And then also it like turns into a drying rack.
Oh, that's
brilliant. Yeah,
so it's all the parts that like fit in with the sink.
And we got it in seal and B&Q.
Yeah. Again, it was like a household sink.
But
it's composite.
Yeah, you looked up and it was on sale for maybe 50 quid or something. Yeah, it's been a great job.
It was a good buy. And just full of cleaning stuff underneath there.
Yeah, that's all clean stuff. And then our iMass heater that we showed from outside, our gas heater's in there. So all our gas is just located within that small area, which meant we didn't have to put pipes all around the bus. And actually our plumbing system, like all our water's over there as well, with the 2 heaters, the sink, and then our shower and toilets back in there. So we didn't have to run anything across the bus, which kept it quite straightforward for when we were building it. Up along here then we have just loads of storage, just random stuff with bags and frisbees and balls and stuff in there. This one here is our like electrics. That's where we've got projectors and speakers. I'll actually show the wee projector just how handy it is.
Because it's such a good size.
So that's it. Like it's literally the size of a can of beans nearly, and it has a little quarter screw thread in the bottom of it. I just put little screws into bouncy balls so we can put them on.
You don't hit your head.
Hit your head in that. So we have a couple of those, and it screws onto those threads, and that points towards our projector screen. We use it in the. We have another projector screen, well, a kitchen blind down in the bedroom we'll show later.
And you have some, it looks like from the train light.
That's what everyone says, it's like a little train cabin. We added that on
just
for when we're sitting working in the evenings, if we ever are working at the table here.
Or eating our dinner.
You can have, but from the outside it does look like a little train cabin. Yeah. But we quite like that.
I kind of like that
picture.
Yeah. And there was a live edge wood table that we just, again, got an auction or something and then varnished, and it's a bit wobbly, but it looks great.
But it pops up and removes out of the way when you're making the bed. And down then along the side we have charging ports for phones, and also more 3-pin that you can charge your laptops, charge your phones when you're sitting there working, which is very handy.
Yeah, and I like how you made it swivel, that when you walk you can pass by each other because it's very narrow out.
Yeah, especially like taking something out of the oven or these chairs actually turn in that way as well.
That you can.
And like turn out of the way a bit if you need more space.
I can sit like this as well, sideways.
Yes.
Like if you turn this and this and that. And that.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, could you get it around? Yeah, you probably could.
Yeah, you probably could.
Yeah. You'd all be like back to back. But yeah.
We were almost tempted when we were going to not have these two in a smaller table.
Because you would have so much more space.
Far more room.
But we thought,
a couple of reasons, We kind of thought that, and we've had loads of friends come and visit us and stay and travel with us in the bus. So then you need the extra seats, but also then it gives you your extra bed. And we're kind of future-proofing as well, that at some stage, if we have a family, that we can just keep it the way it is and not have to worry, and you could have the extra passengers. And that's why we went with the seats that all have seat belts and stuff as well, just to keep it safe.
And you made blinds yourself as well?
Yeah, so I made these. Don't look too closely at the stitching, but they've all got, they just like unhook. So they've all got a thermal layer in the back, so that's supposed to kind of keep the heat in and the cold out, or vice versa, whichever way. And they're pretty much black out as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they've been really good. And then for the front, we just have kind of ones that we suction onto the front windows.
But stitching looks very well.
Thank you.
That's very straight line.
They took me a long time.
Yeah.
So
I was doing this.
You now have to use machine.
I studied textiles in college, so this was the one bit I was good at. Eamon did all the plumbing, the electrics, all the dangerous work, and I was on the sewing machine.
Well, I didn't have a clue how to do it, so I was glad you were able to. And then in here we actually just have a few things like our Starlink Wi-Fi router and stuff. So I mentioned we Starlink on the roof, so we have Wi-Fi everywhere we go, and that runs our system and also our security cameras, but obviously as well gives us Wi-Fi wherever we travel. And we have little smoke detectors and gas alarms and stuff, all different places just to keep it safe. And then along here we've just a wall of art.
Putting art wall.
Michelle mentioned she went to art college, so when we're building the bus, she was like, I need to have somewhere to put different designs. So some of those are local artists, some are Michelle's brother has a Prince of Ireland company. We have that featured, some pictures Michelle's done. So yeah, that sort of keep that in our mind of home when we're on the road, which is always nice.
Yeah.
And you mentioned so you were trying to keep it in low budget. How much
Yeah.
did it cost at the end?
That's like asking someone their weight, isn't it?
What did we spend?
We'd probably have to go through an Excel. We had a budget, so we'd said £10,000 was our budget.
Yeah.
Without the bus.
Yes, without the bus.
Without
We
the
bought the
bus,
bus, and then we're like, right, we'll save up. We were hoping to save 20,000, 10,000
on the build, 10
and then 10 just to have as our sort of
Travel
budget for
fund,
traveling
yeah.
and living in the bus.
We went over.
Yeah, we went over. I'd say we probably spent about 15. In the
Pounds.
end up £15,000. Yeah, so
Yeah.
again €17,000 maybe or whatever. It was slightly better exchange rate or worse, depending which way you're going.
Yeah, when we were doing it.
So around that, which was more than we planned to, but we would never be able to buy this for that amount of money either.
No.
Particularly with, like, someone might look at it and say, oh, well, it's a 30-year-old school bus or whatever. Like, why would you want one of those? But you're able to kit it out exactly as you want. And we have, like, our Starlink. We've all the battery system. The main amount of that money, like, is in here in this electrics cupboard. There's probably £4,000-5,000 in there alone, and that was like a third of the build.
Yeah, there were some things that we knew, like we cut corners where we could, and got things secondhand, like the seats and the interiors are a bit like that, but the electrics, the gas, it all had to be right.
Facebook Marketplace, got that in an auction.
Yeah,
got that the kitchen counter for free. Someone was throwing their kitchen out, and we got the kitchen counter off them. So loads of things like that we tried to get. Even like my seat was out of it.
Yeah.
Someone was selling them like out of a scrapyard, and we sold. So lots of it. We tried to keep it as cheap as possible, but as Michelle said, the likes of the gas and the electrics and stuff,
they just add up quickly, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, but recycling stuff takes a lot of time. So how much
Yes.
time did you invest in this build?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we were what?
Yeah, 9
months.
8 months
8 months.
building. But that's we give up
that
our
was
job.
full
So if
time.
you take our salary out of the way and stuff, it really
You don't want to think about it.
it's
Well,
nice.
we could be in here for years.
Yeah, and
so.
it's nice doing it yourself because you know everything. So
Yes.
like sometimes say the lights stop working, I know where the fuses are or whatever it happens to be, or you know where all the wires run. Thankfully we haven't had too many problems, but it just is quite handy to know all those things for any maintenance jobs on the road.
Yeah.
Our toilet flush broke the other day, and even having put that in, I knew where the
You
toilet
just knew
flush
how to
was
change
and
it.
swapped it out in a couple of minutes. Things like that, if you were just to buy a motorhome and things happen, they'd probably seem like much more of an issue than they are and might put you off living in a bus like this a little bit more, but it's great when you can do it and change it all yourself.
Yeah, and I suppose in comparison to paying all that money in rent or on a house, it's pennies.
Yeah.
And so now you're on the savings traveling, and then you're going back to work? Or?
Well, so
Yeah.
we have a small business at home where we rent out some camper vans that we've done before. So we have that. There's a little bit of income from that, not a lot.
Yeah.
But someone has to be there.
Yes.
Yes.
Someone else. So we're paying someone
so
to
we are
manage
paying
it, which
someone.
is again, we've
Eats into
we've
our
actually
earnings.
sold off one of those recently. We might sell another in a couple of months, and that'll keep us going. And we are trying to look at some ways that we can start earning money.
Yeah.
From
I
the
do
bus.
some painting commissions for people.
Yeah, you've got into a bit more of earning recently with
Yeah, like Instagram is so great for just advertising.
Yeah, at work.
Yeah, so I do like if someone has a nice travel memory, it kind of came from our travels. So if someone has a nice travel memory or they got engaged somewhere, then they send me on a photograph and I paint like watercolor painted for them.
Oh,
I send on.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
that's been good.
I was a teacher. I trained as a teacher, so I can do online tutoring and stuff as well potentially.
Yeah.
So there might be some avenues we can look at to make this a bit more sustainable.
No big money maker yet. So
I
if
have.
anybody wants to hire us.
Yeah. I don't know what we can do. I'm on a career break from work as well, so I can go back to that in January coming, if
Yeah, we wanted to see if we could make this sustainable, and if we can, like, we'd love to keep it
We're not really sure
going
as
longer
well
term.
because we are currently driving this around Europe just to see Europe. We have to go back to the UK for
Just to re-MOT it, like
yeah,
retest
the end
it.
of September
Vehicle
because technically it's Northern Ireland plate, it's UK registered, so we'd either have to get back to there or else get back to England or Scotland or Wales, somewhere else to MOT it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure whether in September then we will just move home and live in this at home and have this as our house, or whether we'll want to continue traveling on the road. But we were surprised at how easily we've managed to just enjoy living in such a small space that like I can't see us wanting to move out of it.
No.
Whether we move home and work from it or not, or whether what we do. Like it has all the comforts that we need from a house.
Yeah.
And even some more. We've rented apartments and things before that have had
smaller and more issues with leaks and
leaks and heating and everything.
And neighbours.
and neighbours.
Yeah, so
flatmates sometimes. This flatmate's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
But the fact that this has it's got a better heating and air conditioning system than a lot of places rent it, so I don't know why we wouldn't just continue to live in it.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you have campers in Northern Ireland?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And we have those there. Now I was lucky growing up on a farm that there's a lot of space there as well, that we've been able to do so many things and
Yeah,
build,
you've got sheds that we could work from.
use as workshops and park up things and all. That's kept everything a bit handier.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky with that. I know we look at some people who do these van conversions and build,
and they rent space to do the conversions, and you just think,
or even they do it in their driveway.
crazy money.
Now, we had a whole indoor shed that if it was ever raining, which it nearly almost always was, in Ireland, that we could just still do all the work inside. So we were quite lucky with that.
Lucky.
But yeah.
So, and in that closet, you say this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Go-
you're gonna
go
try
inside.
and get in there. I think there might also be like 20 rolls of toilet paper, and I don't know what else. You probably have to go around the fireside to see in there.
That's just all our fuses, and we've different drop downs to 12 volts to 5 volts. That one's up to 57 volts to run the Starlink router, and then that's our big Victron system for the inverter and the solar. That's all in there. Different bits for electric hookup and a few other bits, but that's the electrics covered. And that's our fuse diagram that I did as we were building it, and was like, I must actually print that out and have something a bit, and it's just been screwed to the wall ever since, so it keeps us right. But that's the electrics in there, and we can isolate it and turn it all off if we need to.
Yeah.
And
you made the step because there was some storage below?
yeah, a couple of reasons. So there's storage in below, and it was also for running electrics and stuff.
Yeah.
But also
plumbing mainly as well.
our bathroom, because of the wheel arches, our bathroom's up a bit higher, and we just found that it was much easier to keep everything that height. So you step out of the bathroom onto the same level. So do you want us to show you in here?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is another curtain that Michelle has sewn up for us. And again, there are a couple of reasons we have it. One is because it gives you a little area for the bedroom just to separate the two areas. We find that if you can separate space, it makes everything feel a bit bigger, that you can have your different rooms as such.
Kitchen,
Yeah,
bedroom,
this is
bathroom.
a 2-bed home rooms. But also you can pull these across, and they are thermal, so you can keep heat in, or if you have the air conditioning in there, that's our air conditioning up there. If we had that running, instead of it having to cool the whole bus in the summer, we could pull this across and it would just have to cool down the bedroom for us sleeping.
And you're using it?
Haven't used the AC yet.
Well,
really,
we used it in Sicily at the start, and it's very power hungry.
Yeah.
So again, that was why we also put on the electric hookup, that if we were somewhere for the summer and it was just uncomfortable living here, we could go to a campsite, plug in, and just run our AC. Now our battery bank should, we did build it actually, that I calculated it that our power should last us, that should run for a full night. You could run it for 12 hours and it would be fine until the next day, and then if you turned it off, your solar should charge up. Particularly during the summer when it's warmer, you'll also have far more daylight, so it'll be interesting to see if it does let us go off grid and run the AC. We'll just have to see.
Tested properly now come May, June, July.
And we've our diesel heater down in here. That's this little extra bit is our diesel heater. So it has 2 chutes. That one sends heat towards the seats, and then this one here you can spin round and blow heat up towards the bedroom as well. And it's actually great if you ever shower, because you can pull this
Yeah.
across and create like a little warm room for when you come out of the shower, and it's nice,
Very
yeah,
nice.
nice and warm.
Luxury.
And that
Um,
is all wardrobe.
yeah. So it's
Yeah,
really
this is the
double.
wardrobe. So we just have these like accordion doors. So it pulls across.
Yeah.
I've got a little light. All our clothes hanging up there.
It always looks much more fancy. With
Yeah,
lights.
with the light. And then down the bottom here, just these pull-out drawers.
Yeah.
So we've got 4 of those. And that's everything. Like, that's all our clothes in that space. And we find you only need what you have. Don't you?
Yeah.
You're never stuck for anything compared to what my wardrobe looked like at home.
And then the king size bed or queen size bed would be.
So the mattress was a king size length,
Okay.
but the width we then cut down, so it's more like a double width.
Mm.
So it's kind of a funny shape, a custom bed.
Yeah. We've just bought a big memory foam mattress
Yeah.
from IKEA,
Yeah.
So
and
we
you can
could just
cut those
cut it.
down and trim
Yeah.
them, and they're really handy.
Yeah,
And
it's
also
really comfortable.
Really comfortable.
Yeah,
So you sleep sideways.
Yes.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's full. Like, what's the width of the bus?
It's 203 centimeters from top to bottom.
Yeah,
So
From
we've got
outside.
loads of.
no, from the inside
Oh,
actually.
from inside.
Yeah,
Mm.
203
Yeah,
on the
because
inside
we're
there.
tall, but
Yeah.
like we
Yeah.
have loads
Between
of
the
room.
two walls, so
Yeah,
there's loads of room,
Mhm.
lengthways in the bed.
yeah, it's really good. And then we just have our little fairy lights, and we have another like movie screen up here as well, so you can
Okay.
run the projector in.
Yeah.
Watch movies in bed.
And more storage.
And then
below.
more storage, yeah,
Yeah.
in underneath.
Yeah.
This
Jump
is
past
like, I don't know what will fall out if I open this. This is like tools,
There's the light there as
laundry
well.
bag, and like everything's thrown in there, like
Yeah.
picnic blankets and stuff for drying the clothes, all sorts. But it's been really good. It runs the whole.
Okay, so
width
in
as
the
well.
corners you don't access so often, I guess. this stuff.
No, so like
Yeah.
the big bag of tools are like in there. So if you get them, you kind of have to pull like everything out.
Now we did show the
Um,
door on the far side.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
open it up, you can access
pull
the
Okay.
the other side.
Okay,
So anything
okay.
in there
Yeah.
you can
So
pull
you
in
can
and out.
access.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then below is just our water pump and our accumulator and stuff in that one below. So
Yeah.
just a bit of access for any maintenance we need to
Yeah.
do.
And then our bathroom's in here. Again, it's just the accordion door. This isn't very glamorous, but it all functions.
Are those doors like for wardrobe made? Huh?
So yeah, I think so. But
Yeah.
we've got our shower curtain, so we knew
Yeah.
like this isn't waterproof.
No, but
But
I
we
think
pull
it's
the
nice
curtain.
because it doesn't take space.
No, yeah.
And it's
So
light.
like they're really good. They both came this size, and we just cut it down.
Yeah,
Um,
and they're super light as
yeah,
well.
super
Yeah.
light.
Mm.
And then we just pull the curtain the whole way around so that
Yeah.
you don't get any water out here. But we've got our cassette toilet in there, the tipsy sink.
Oh, you have even sink.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, a little tipsy sink. And then our like warm shower again. That was just a
Yeah.
household shower.
So you got all this set with toilet and the shower tray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got the toilet, sink,
Yeah.
all kind of like secondhand refurbed,
Yeah.
and got it all to fit together.
That was probably our least exciting part of the build, and a few things in it that we would change.
Yeah, I'd like it to look a lot nicer in there,
Yeah.
but we were really just concerned about making sure it was all watertight.
And this is the fan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the fan
yeah,
there,
yeah.
and then that's just the one that
Yeah.
lifts up. Yeah, it's been fine that toilet.
Yeah.
It all works.
All right, thanks for showing around.
Yeah, I think that's
No problem. Yeah, I think that's everything.
everything.
And
Thank you.
what about YouTube? You'll be doing YouTube or not?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
So
we have.
we're attempting a few YouTube
If you want to be
videos.
our 10th subscriber, you're more than welcome to join the channel. We have Us in the Bus is what
Yeah.
we've called our YouTube and our different socials. So
Yeah, just a bit of fun.
yeah, we
Yeah.
like
Travels.
photography, and we like also just having a record of what we've been doing. So if anyone wants to,
Watch us
wants to
embarrass
see us,
ourselves
yeah.
on YouTube.
you're more than welcome.
All right. All right, thanks for watching. The social media links from guys I will leave in description below. Let us know what do you think about this build and see you in the next one. Cheers.